Gentlemen, we'd like to get the program started, so if you can find your seat, it would be wonderful. I'd like to, at this moment, good evening. Thank you. We have a wonderful, wonderful group here tonight. It's very large and it's very spread out. You know, east to west, it's very spread out. So I really appreciate not only now, but during the awards that you have attention to the speakers. It's very difficult. I'm not a very good left to right type of speaker. Like longer, but that's okay. We'll work with that. I want to welcome everybody here. The weather has cooperated, and I'm sure that we were all crossing our fingers. I know Billy Blitzer, who's our dinner cameraman, was very nervous during the week. He lost his hair, so we're very, very appreciative of the weather. But I want to welcome everybody here. This is the 57th annual New York Pro Scouts Association Award Ceremony. I'd like to welcome everybody here, Scouts, former Scouts, our good friends of the New York sports writers, friends of Scouting, and baseball fans, coaches, umpires. We're all here, and we all get along with the umpires tonight. Along with our good friends of the New York sports writers, who many are here tonight, their dinner is next Saturday on January 27th. And along with our dinner and their dinner, they are the two premier events that kick off the 2024 season. This dinner here, we have a number of guests, and we have awards, and they will be given out. Before we get started on the awards part of the program, we're going to have the invocation, and that's going to be said tonight by Monsignor Tom Mikowski. He's the head Monsignor over at Sacred Heart Parish, Sacred Heart of Jesus Parish in Bayside, Queens. He's a lifetime New Yorker, originally from Masbeth, Queens, ordained in 1985, that's 39 years ago. So next year he'll have his Jubilee 40th year. And he's also the chaplain and pastor. Well, he wears this title proudly. I'm not so sure why, but he's the pastor and chaplain of the New York Mets. And he has been, and he's been praying very, very hard for the Mets. We'd like Monsignor Tom to come up here and give us the invocation.
I assure you this prayer will work better than the ones I've been using for the Mets. Let us bow our heads and place ourselves in the presence of Almighty God. God, our Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and praise for the many blessings that you bestow upon us each day. We give you thanks and praise for the blessing of being together here this evening to share food and friendship. We ask your special blessing upon the honorees who will receive their honors this evening. We ask your blessing upon the food that we have already partaken in. See, I'm a Monsignor, I can bless what you ate already too. Those who have served it to us, those who have prepared it for us. We ask you to keep us mindful of the many people in our world who are not as fortunate as we are. And we ask all these things, as we always do, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Monsignor. Very nice. I'd like to, at this time, as you know, before every baseball game, there's a song that's played. It was actually a song that back when I was coaching in the big leagues with the Phillies, that our manager said was our bad luck song, because we lost 95 games and 96 games in consecutive years. He said, we had a pretty good club. He said, we didn't have a bad club. We had a bad luck song, and that was the national anthem. It seemed that every time they played it, we lost. So anyway, we start each of our dinners with the national anthem, and the person who sings it is our very own New York sports writer, Mr. Pete Caldera. So would you come up here, Pete?
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Caldera. Just a very small commercial. Pete Caldera is a professional singer. He does work many gigs in the Manhattan area. He does a wonderful Frank Sinatra review. So once again, congratulations and thank you very much to Pete Caldera. 2 shows tonight. All right, I also would like to introduce, and I'm going to try to rush through this a little bit because we do have these wonderful people that are going to be getting awards. But I'd just like to introduce to you our dinner chairman. And he starts working on this dinner literally later on this month, start preparing for next year. He's responsible for the emails, the getting the things together for the dinner. He does a tremendous job, as you know, and if you don't know, he works tirelessly doing it. All right, that man is Mr. William Blister.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody here. For those of you that have never been here, thank you for coming. We hope that you enjoy yourself enough that you'll come back here in future years. And for those that have been here, welcome back. We're very happy that you're here, especially on a night like today. I can't tell you the aggravation and all the calls that I had because of the snow, and I want to thank everybody for making this trip here this evening. I'd like to congratulate all our award winners. We have a special group here this evening. I'd like to thank a number of these people that have come a long way as well. David Cohn came down from Florida. Thank you for coming out. Our Scout of the Year, Matt Hyde, well deserved. And everybody else here on this dais has been handpicked and well deserving of the honor that they will receive here this evening. What I will do next, it's become tradition. What I do is I read a list of the couple of players from our area, from the Northeast, that have been signed out of this area, that have made their major league debut in the previous year. So for this year, in 2023, we had a few players. First of all, shortstop, Anthony Volpe from the New York Yankees. Anthony was drafted in 2019 in the first round out of Delbarton High School in New Jersey, signed by Matt Hyde, right here. Left-handed pitcher Tom Cosgrove for the San Diego Padres, was taken in 2017 in the 12th round out of Manhattan College. The scout was John Stewart. Right-handed pitcher Brendan White with the Detroit Tigers in 2019 was taken in the 26th round by Siena College by scout Jimmy Brett. Left-handed pitcher Josh Walker with the New York Mets in 2017 was taken in the 37th round. Out of the University of New Haven, the scout was Mike Pesci. Now, I just have to make a comment. The last two players that I just announced were taken in the 26th and the 37th round. Major League Baseball was cut back to 20 rounds. You're going to miss players like this. Players that deserve to be drafted, players that deserve to be signed are not going to be drafted, and they have to hope and pray that a scout sees them someplace and signs them after the draft. And the scouts in this area do a heck of a job, because we get an awful lot of late round picks here in the cold weather area that do make it to the big leagues, and that's one of the reasons I read this list every year. Left-handed pitcher Joe LaSorsa, Tampa Bay Rays, 2019, in the 18th round. Out of St. John's University, scout Zach Clark. And lastly, left-handed pitcher Emmett Sheehan, Los Angeles Dodgers, drafted in 2021 in the 6th round out of Boston College by scout John Hyde. So that's our list of players. Now we have a couple of things going on here tonight. We have raffles that will be sold as we break the dinner. We have 3 items. We have a TV, we have a speaker, and we have a New York Pro Scout gift pack that consists of the backpack, a hat, and one of the folders. So we have 3 items. We're going to have 3 groups of selling raffles going from one side of the room to the other. Please purchase your raffle tickets because it helps defray the cost of this dinner. And I'd like to thank Jimmy Holzer, who's here. He's the one that was able to purchase the gifts to give out here tonight. So Jimmy, thanks for the donation. We also have a silent auction. When you get a chance as we break the dinner, go down to the other side of the room. We have a good number of items. Nothing is very expensive. Bid for it, put something down. Again, it's not expensive. It helps defray the cost of this dinner. I'd like to thank Gary Perrone, Lee Lowenfish, George Greger, and Jay Goldberg for donating a good number of those items there. So thank you very much. And now I'd like to introduce our Master of Ceremonies. And now, for the highlight of the evening, the introduction of our distinguished Master of Ceremonies. It all goes downhill from here. As a condition of his parole, he is here to introduce another collection of has-beens, never was, and who the hell is that? He loves this game. He played this game. That's why he's here tonight wearing a cup. Because there is apparently no one else, he is the host of the appropriately named and very, 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 very popular Remember When, a baseball nostalgia show heard Saturday mornings on Sirius XM Radio, Channel 89. He lives by the precepts that he who laughs last, obviously, didn't get the joke. He said being invited to host this event is either a great honor or a trap. Either way, he is grateful that I asked him after everybody good said no. If you ask me, I'd say his hosting duties could be duplicated by some well-trained and lesser-paid chimpanzees. As Yogi said, if the world were perfect, it wouldn't be. Unfortunately, due to overwhelming demand, here is the world's foremost authority guardian of the conventional wisdom, the best MC in his price range, and the reason you are all here tonight. Please stand up, and cheer for our national treasure. Please stand up, cheer for our national treasure.
No walk-up music. How do you like me so far? Everything good? Hello, friends and strangers. I'm sorry in advance. First, let's take a moment to look back on the 2023 seasons of the New York Mets, New York Yankees, the local teams. They bombed more than Oppenheimer, didn't they? My returning as your master of ceremonies is the biggest upset since Ralph Cramden stood for election as Grand High exalted mystic ruler of the Raccoon Lodge. But I'm very glad to be back with you. I want to let you know I've been traveling. I just got back from Rome, where I went to the office of the Holy See. That is like the commissioner's office for the Roman Catholic Church. And I made a petition, and I'm happy to tell you that at the next meeting of Cardinals, not the St. Louis Cardinals, the Cardinals, they will take up my position to add an 11th commandment. And the 11th commandment is as follows. Thou shalt not place a runner on second base in the 10th inning, now and forever, amen. Oh, God, that pisses me off. Damon, it's not baseball. I know, it's not your fault. It's worse than imposing the designated hitter in the National League. But anyway, alien invaders. So here's a quick story for you. There's a guy that our members of the media knew and loved, and that I love, a man named Bob Rosen. Bob Rosen was a statistician for many years at the Light Sports Bureau. And Bob Rosen grew up in Brooklyn, and he never forgave the Dodgers for leaving. So one day, his young son says, "Can you take me to see where the Brooklyn Dodgers play?" So Bob loads Ricky in the car. They drive to what was once Ebbets Field. They pull up to the apartment building. Bob gets very emotional. And Bob looks at the building and goes, "Ricky, this is where the Brooklyn Dodgers play." And Ricky looks at Bob and goes, "What floor?" I got a call from our guest speaker, and he goes, "I hope you don't mind, but I'm good friends with George Santos. And I hope it's okay with you if George Santos writes the introduction for me for tonight instead of you." And I'm like, "Well, fine. I mean, who am I to say no to my friend David Cohn?" So here's what George Santos wrote last year. David Cohn was so good he did 10 pitches as the game went on. He threw the 16th perfect game in history, won almost 200 games in 17 seasons for the Mets, Yankees, Toronto, Kansas City, the Dodgers, Giants, Padres, Mariners, Rangers, Tigers, and Yokohama Bay Stars in Japan. During that time, David won 6 Cy Young Awards and a batting title. He knows more about pitching than almost anyone in the game. He also had a fabulously, though short-lived career as a guest sports writer for the New York Daily News. He had double knee replacement surgery, suffered while on scholarship for volleyball at Baruch College. And I still have his poster on my wall in the bedroom. We thank George for that gracious introduction. Here is there are so many things I could say about David Cohn, but tonight is certainly not the time or place to do that. But we enjoy his incisive analysis on the Yes Network and on majorly on ESPN, where he replaced Alex Rodriguez. He replaced Alex Rodriguez because ESPN got word that the detainees at Guantanamo were forced to watch his games, but many requested that they be waterboarded instead. Please welcome number 36, bats left, throws right, ward number 36, because I wore number 36 in Fordham. My friend, we're so happy to have him with us. Nice going, John. David Cohn.
You got me, Johnny. My pleasure, actually. You know, I mean, my favorite people are in this room. I mean, I I really never thought I would be good enough to become a player. So I was gonna do it somehow. I was gonna be a sports writer. You know, watching the Odd Couple, I thought, you know, Oscar Madison, that was my guy, right? So I wasn't gonna be a sports writer. I was gonna make it in baseball somehow. Maybe I could be a scout. You know, that's what I thought I was gonna do. I never thought that I could be a pitcher in the big leagues. So I'm happy to be here. This is the year of my people. These are my people, and I think now more than ever we need the people in this room, in our industry. Especially when you hear the news of what happened with Sports Illustrated today. We need more insightful writers than we've ever needed before. We need the human element more than we've ever needed before. Not only on the writing side, covering the great game of baseball, but also on the scout side. We've seen over the last couple of decades, really, the human element get marginalized, right? I mean, I'm speaking to the choir here, I'm sure. I mean, I'm a fan of new data, I'm a fan of analytics, I'm a fan of high-speed cameras, I'm a fan of learning and have a growth mentality about the game. But there's no substitute for the human touch, for the heartbeat, for what you guys do, for men and women both, what you bring to the game. So I applaud you. This is my room. You are my people. This is my family. Don't give up. Don't give up, because it's easy to give up now. It's easy when you get pushed out the door, when you get shown the door. And we've seen so many good people get shown the door. It's not fair. It's not right. I think it's going to come back around full circle. I really do. I still remember as a kid going to a high school that didn't have a baseball team and playing in an amateur league. And there was a scout named Carl Blondo. He used to work for the Kansas City Royals, the late great Carl Blondo. First time he showed up with a ray gun. Well, what is that? And I threw it as hard as I could, and I hit 88 miles an hour at 17 years old on a ray gun. And Carl Blondo came to me and said, "You got a chance. I'm going to follow you." So I went to a tryout camp back then at Royal Stadium, back when they had tryout camps. I'm not sure we even have tryout camps anymore. They used to advertise in the newspapers. Show up. 300 guys would show up. You get 2 throws, 3 throws, whatever you could get. So I remember showing up at that tryout camp. There was Carl Blondo, 17 years old. 18 years old, he showed up at my first game about 8 days before the June draft in 1981. And I threw it as hard as I could on that ray gun. I think I hit 91 miles an hour on the old ray gun. He said, I'm going to put you in for the draft. He said, "Can we sign you?" He was starting to negotiate ahead of time. The scouts in this room, you know this story. Is he signable or is he not? You know, does he have an agent? No, he doesn't have an agent. Is he getting advice from anybody? No, this kid wants to go. He wants to play. And so certainly the Royals drafted me in the 3rd round. I was an unknown at that time. I was ready to sign that day. I was like, "Dad, we got to sign this contract. The first offer he made, I'm ready. Let's go. I got to sign." I had no idea we had to negotiate or anything about the process. And then, about a week later, my dad held out. We got a couple thousand more. I think I got $17,000. And I went out and bought a new Z28 IROC. Stupidest thing I got back. They just changed, the old Camaro, they just changed the body style in the early 80s. That square bullshit IROC. I had to have it. I had to have that car. So, about a year later, I'm pitching in Charleston, South Carolina in low A ball, and I never paid taxes on that $17,000. So, right before the day I'm supposed to start my first game in Charleston, South Carolina, Roy Tanner, T-Bone Tanner, the manager, came to me and said, "Hey, General Motors is calling. And the IRS is calling." So my first paycheck, I think I got like $12 because the IRS garnished my wages. And the General Motors, the car company that I had the loan with, was calling too. So I had to go trade that car in. I got in a series of trade downs on cars. I got a big Cadillac, 1971 Cadillac. All the windows rode down, all 4, and there was no bars in the middle, so my whole gang could hang out the windows on the side. It was great. It was a great car. But it was a hard lesson to learn, about when you sign out of high school, you don't have a clue. But Carl Blondo Blondo was always there, the scout who signed me. He called me, and he brought me back to life. And he got me a local Kansas City businessman that co-signed a loan for me to get me out of this trouble, to help me pay off my taxes, to help me get out of that car, that IROC car that I bought. And you know, it was Carl Blondo, the scout who signed me. And he was the guy who brought me back. He got me back into it. And then, you know, I got back on my feet, kind of learned how to pitch a little bit, got around guys like Johnny Morris, who was my roommate, kind of showed me the ropes a little bit, and, you know, good people, good baseball people that I was around, kind of taught me the ropes. My whole education was in the minor leagues. That was my college, was the minor league days. And, I hit every town, every city, every level, some twice. Blew out my knee covering home plate. Sent me back a couple of years. Came back around. I got to rehab my knee with the major league team at that time, the Royals, and kept the video camera and got to hang around the big leagues as a 19-year-old. So, you know, my path was very uneven, but I'll never forget the people along the way that really helped me. And it really goes down to Carl Blondo. You know, and that's the moral of the story. A guy who signed me, a guy who cared about me. You guys know how it is when you sign somebody, you know, he's your guy, you know, and you kind of fall in love with him. And you kind of you pin your hopes to him, and that's what Carl did for me. So I'll never forget it. And as I said before, it's my honor to be here in this room with my family. You are my family, and everybody. And we need you now more than ever, as I said before. We need the riders. We need the scouts. We need the human touch more than we've ever needed to do this game, to keep growing this game. And I believe it's going to come back around full circle. I really do. You are needed more than ever. Thank you so much.
I don't want to rehash my playing career and take up your valuable time, because I know you all know my playing career. David said he grew 90. In the Bronx, I grew 98. 49 in and 49 back without any movement or work life. And he said he never expected to be able to, he never expected to play pro ball. Now, I went to a high school in the Bronx called Hoch, which fortunately is still open 3 blocks from Yankee Stadium. And at the time that I was at Hoch, we did not have a baseball team. So I played sandlot ball. And I'll never forget that after graduating from Hoch, I attracted the attention of a scout from the Kansas City Royals. And he comes to my house. And my Italian mother makes a beautiful dinner for him. And he says, I would love for your son to be able to play for the Kansas City Royals. And my mom said, that sounds very nice, tell me some more. And he said, well, we would like for him to play with the Kansas City Royals for $5,000. And my mom, without skipping a beat, said, I would love for him to play for the Kansas City Royals for $5,000, but we don't have that kind of money. We have a lot of wonderful people in our audience tonight that I would like to introduce. I'm going to probably introduce 200 people. If I miss you, please let me know. First, our media friends, Andy Martino from SNY. David from SNY, Pete Caldera, who you heard sing, Eric Bolden, who was at Newsday, Laura Albanese at Newsday, Abby Mastracco, who does terrific work for the New York Daily News covering the Mets, Greg Joyce from the New York Post, Christy Ackert is back with us. Great to see you, Christy. Nice fan. She's now with the Tampa Bay Times. And George King, who is retired from the New York Post. In support of that, the Yankees have showed up, and Damon Oppenheimer flew in for this. Of course, the Vice President and Director of Amateur Scouting for the New York Yankees. Damon, great to have you. Our friend, local boy, newly named the first base coach for the Detroit Tigers in 2024. He's going to be coaching for AJ Hinch, that cheeky bitch. Anthony Ayapoche is here. Yeah, gonna have them stand up. Where is it? Tells you what they think about. Tells you what they think about you that you're back there. A pitcher. This guy is fantastic. He's played for so many different teams. He played for the Long Island Ducks to extend his career, and we're so happy to have the left-hander, always dependable. He's on his way to becoming Jamie Moyer. Rich Hill is here tonight. Rich, Pedro Lopez, who played in the major leagues. Pedro? Gary Perone, the general manager of the Staten Island Ferry Hawks. Alexander Rigoli, assistant director of Pro Scouting for the Miami Marlins. Bob Kurtzis, the New York City, longtime New York City PSAL commissioner. Vic Phelps with us, the president of the Greater New York Sandlot Alliance. A prolific author, very talented guy, and his book is available over there. His most recent baseball book is called Baseball's Endangered Species. Lee Lowenfish with us tonight. Dr. George Greger joins us from the coaching community. Chris Reardon, coach at Queens College. Don Landolfi, the longtime college coach, and the longtime college coach at Adelphi, now retired, former bullpen catcher for the Yankees during their glory years in the 70s, Dom Scala. I want to take a moment to recognize our very special friend, longtime entertainer, Mo Resner. If you have been with us through the years, you know that if you've been with us through the years, you know that Mo has kept his dentist busy. Some notes about Mo that you may not know. You can sit down. This is going to take a while. Mo served in the Navy. Our side, and he was decorated for saving the entire crew of the ship. He shot the cook. Mo has been a Cubs fan longer than Billy Blitzer has been alive. And as a player, he is credited with introducing the dead ball era. When he was asked what the highlight of his playing career was, he said, "Oh, that's easy. One day I'm playing first base, and Ty Cobb hits a smash down the first base line. I backhanded it, and I turned it into a 3-6-3 double play." And unfortunately, there's no television evidence of that because at the time that happened, television had not been invented. Mo, we're so happy to see you. When he was in school, they didn't have history, but they do have it. And until Bob Feller came along, the youngest pitcher to win 100 games was a pitcher named Noodles Hahn, and he was Mo's first roommate. Mo is booked, we can't wait for this, Mo is booked at the Wynn in Las Vegas for his 100th birthday, but who knows if that hotel is still going to be around then. And that's not bad for a guy who's just 2 years younger than God. Mo, thank you so much. Thank you for the $20 for the jokes. I really appreciate it. The first commandment for our speakers tonight, the first commandment of Blitzer, blessed are the brief, for they will be invited back. Our Benny Borkman Good Guy Award winner is Jim Cuthbert. Let's hear it for Jim. He had a hell of a time getting here tonight. Here's his background. A former barista at Starbucks. Jim drove here in his brand new Lincoln Incontinental, and because of that, he can't drive more than 10 miles without needing to pull over to the restroom. Jim doesn't always go the extra mile, but when he does, it usually means he missed his exit. Jim came out of Brooklyn to play baseball at St. John's with Joe Russo and Ed Blankmeyer. He began his scouting career in 1998 with Colorado before spending 8 years with Texas. In 2010, he became a professional scout at Cleveland, serving as Terry Francona's advanced scout his first 3 years as manager. He also advanced for Alex Cora in Boston, Mac Fararo in Kansas City, and for David Martinez when Washington won the World Series in 2019. After serving as the Director of Pro Scouting for the Marlins this past October, he was named Director of Pro Scouting for Kansas City. We are so happy to welcome Jim Cuthbert, who tonight receives our Benny Boardman Good Night Award.
What's up, everybody? How we doing? You know, when I first started thinking about what I wanted to say tonight, the first question that came to my mind is, this is season 24 for me, so how in the hell did it get this far? How did this happen? How did this whole career, how did this dream career happen for the kid from Brooklyn? Undrafted, non-prospect, no relationships in Major League Baseball to speak of, not from an Ivy League school. So, you know, I get asked this question from time to time from the next wave of young men and young women trying to get into scouting, trying to get into front office work. And sometimes I struggle to actually explain how this happened. And, you know, this award, this call from Billy, means the world to me, and it led me to really start thinking through this, and I came up with two factors for me that have really driven my 24 seasons, my 23 seasons. Number one, I think speaks to what this association has meant to me over the last 2 decades. You can take the kid out of New York. You can take the kid out of New York, you can't take the New York out of the kid. And I think a lot of what I went through and a lot of what I learned, a lot of the challenges we all go through as New Yorkers, if we're being honest, right? The blue collar crowd in New York, whether we get into baseball, scouting, writing, any profession, nothing comes easy in the city. And the second factor for me was, I think it speaks to the spirit of the award. I've had a hell of a lot of help from a lot of good fellas over the last 20 years. And just to give you an idea, speaking to the first point, you know, how did this happen? You know, growing up in New York City, as I said, I wasn't a prospect. For all the young guys in the room, some have approached me already. How did you get into this? I didn't have former teammates in pro ball. I didn't have former coaches in pro ball. My former teammates and coaches were local. If you want to know the quick bullet points of my background, it was Brooklyn, it was stickball in Bensonhurst, it was Severian High School, St. John's, and growing up on the Mets of the 80s with Doc, Darryl, and David. Where it really clicked for me on a personal note, some of you might remember, I know Eric Boland has some tattoos that draw back to the early days of WFAN. Back to the Joe McIlvaine days with the Mets. I was the young kid where I would do anything I could to read about, not just baseball, but read about scouting. 25 years ago was tough. I remember when The Athletic, when The National came out for a few minutes, and I would have to go 3 neighborhoods over to find a newsstand that sold The National. I remember when The Fan opened up, and I remember when the Pete Franklin show turned into Mike and the Mad Dog. Those were the days I remember listening through what the Mets were going through with Joe McIlvaine, his passion for scouting and player development, and maybe what the Mets were looking for in a general manager at that point, compared to where Joe's passions were. And that, to me, it spoke to me, and that's why I went to St. John's. I should have ended up at a Division III school, catching fairly regularly. I went to St. John's thinking the sports management program would help me get into this. The irony is, it was the baseball program where I was a walk-on under Joe Russo, a walk-on under Ed Blankmeyer, Coach Pertzis, Coach Landolfi were on those staffs. It was the coaching staff that saw a broken down, beaten up senior catcher on 2 flat tires, and they called a local area scout and said, could you use any free help in New York City? And that was an original Rocky, and I do my best to say thank you every chance I get, but that was Kevin McMullen calling Mike Carlotti. And Mike put me on as an unpaid associate. I remember times where Mike was teaching me how to write reports on his back porch. He would send me to games, we'd go back, we'd have a cocktail on his back porch, he'd tell me why the reports were horrendous. We'd talk through the players, and then little by little. But that's really how it started. It was hearing what the Mets were going through at that point, the passion Joe had, and I've spoken to Joe now. Fast forward 20 years, I've told Joe these stories, and without knowing it, the influence he had on me, helping me define exactly what within baseball I wanted to do. The other part, in the early days, as a college student, as an entry level, this was back in the day when you actually physically mailed out resumes. So I'm just old enough to know think back to when the fans started. I'm just old enough to think back to the first days of Mike and the Mad Dog. I'm also old enough to know when we used to mail out resumes and cover letters. I used to send them out religiously to every amateur scouting director. And after a period of time, one called me back. And this is one gentleman that I've been at games with over the years. I don't know him well, and I would love to formally thank him, and maybe some of the fellas in this room could help me. The one scouting director, this was maybe 98, that called me back was Jim Hendry. And Jim Hendry spent 30 minutes on the phone with me. I was just a kid from Brooklyn. He had no idea who I was. He had no reason to know who I was. And all he did was spend 30 minutes giving career advice to an unknown kid. And I hope someday to get the chance to thank Jimmy for that. Fast forward, yeah, absolutely. Fast forward to the actual active scouting, and this to me is what speaks to this award, the good fellas, the guys that are a part of this thing of ours that didn't let me drown. They helped me early and often. I touched on Mike Garlotti, and once I was actually out going to games every day, longtime member of this association, Gil Bassetti. You know, Gil Bassetti did it in a way where he never, for those of you who remember, you know what I'm talking about. He would help me. He would make sure I knew the right game tomorrow, the right game next weekend, but he would do it in a way where Hageman never saw it. Cesny never saw it. Joe DiCarlo never heard it. Jimmy, you know about that kid at South Bronx tomorrow? Throw me a wing. Yeah, Gil, I got it. All right. Tell Maria I said hello. That was Gil Bassetti. And that mentorship, because he knew my wife from the neighborhood, from Marine Park, that was Gil Bassetti. And that turned into Billy Blitzer. And that turned into Joe Rigoli and so many others over the years. You know, I could go on and on as far as names that really meant something to me, that really helped me turn the corner, but the couple that I just wanted to highlight, the good fellas that didn't have to go out of their way for an unknown, anonymous kid from Brooklyn who was just trying to make it in scouting. John Hart, when he was in Texas, after he was done being GM, he got much more involved with the scouts. And we had a lot of volatility back then. Once John Daniels took over, but even through the John Hart years, there were changes in scouting directors, changes in philosophies. And he would drive home to us as young scouts. Just keep in mind, your reports are your resume. And that was really, really impactful. For a guy like that at that point in his career, to sit in the back of the draft room and visit with young scouts and talk through how to slow the game down and focus on our evaluations and report writing. Terry Francona was another one. When I first broke into advanced scouting, admittedly, I was sheepish. Entering Tito's office, I had never been in a big league clubhouse before. I had no reason to be. So when we had advanced meetings, I would always wait outside out of respect to the office and the uniform. I'd wait outside until the staff was in the room, and then I would walk in last. And Tito eventually noticed this. He said, why are you waiting outside my office? I said, Tito, out of respect to the office, man. I mean, this is the big league skipper's office. Out of respect to you, Brad Mills, everybody else on the staff. And what he said to me, I've used countless times in my career, and I've shared it with several young, the next wave coming in. He said, Jimmy, your work is your ticket into my office. Don't ever forget it. And for a future Hall of Fame skipper like Tito, who could have had anybody in the game, former teammates, former coaches, former staff members, advancing for him, the fact that he was willing to actually just invest in the unknown, mentor someone young at that point in his career. And I had the same experience with Don Mattingly in Miami. For guys like that, those guys speak to the spirit of this award. Those are the good guys that allow guys like us to not only survive, but develop and mature and thrive in this game. I'm contractually obligated to mention J.J. Piccolo, Scott Sharp, and Matt Quatraro in Kansas City. Seriously, what's going on in Kansas City right now is it's overwhelming. I owe those guys a lot. I'm thrilled with what's going on and to be a part of JJ's crew. It really is in terms of, again, spirit of this award, the good fellas that help us all thrive. They really are the core of that. The bottom line for me, though, if I could sum this award up really with 2 points, I actually thought to me, if we could raise our glasses, I should have brought one up. If we could just raise our glasses, this award is not about me. It's not about any one scout who receives it from year to year. To me, this award is a tribute to all the good fellas, this thing of ours over the years that helped any of us last 2 decades in this game, 3 decades in this game. Whether it was on the sandlots, the high school fields, the college fields, amateur scouting, pro scouting, it doesn't matter. None of us last 24 years without a lot of help from some awfully good people. So if we can, just attribute to the good fellas that got me here, that helped me last this long, and with a reminder that this award to me is just a reminder to help the next wave, for all of us, myself included, help the next wave that's coming in. The young men and young women who are dying to get into scouting, front office work, regardless of the path. The non-famous, the guys and the gals who don't know anyone in Major League Baseball and they don't know how to get in. You never know when you can change your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, and best of luck in Kansas City. You forgot to mention one thing, and that is that he recently ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon, and he wants to see which comes first. It is, after all, the Scouts dinner, so it's time to introduce the Scouts. Please hold your applause until I mention all the names. From the Cincinnati Reds, John Morris, John Saprini, Ken Silver. From the Philadelphia Phillies, Sal Agustinelli, Dan Palumbo. From the Marlins, Jim Howard and Phil Rossi. From the Red Sox, Ray Fagnan and David Scribinis. From the Tampa Bay Rays, Max Cohen. From the Padres, John McNamara. From the, Tom McNamara's not here, is it? Oh, that's 15 minutes for me. A retired scout with the Diamondbacks, Dennis Sheehan. From the Cardinals, Joe Rigoli. From the Orioles, Kobe Perez. And from the Chicago Cubs, the descendant of Billy Blitzer, Andrew Ahn. Please, applause for all of them. Our Dick Young Award winner, media member, goes tonight to Bryan Hoch from MLB.com. Let's hear it for Bryan. Bryan is taking time out from watching the Golden Girls Marathon, and boy, are we glad that he's here. Bryan has served as the Yankees beat reporter for MLB.com since 2007. He also has written 4 books, the latest of which is 62, Aaron Judge, the New York Yankees, and the Pursuit of Greatness. You see Bryan on SNY's Baseball Night in New York and on the Yes Network, where he serves as a freelance clubhouse reporter. He is also the chairperson of the New York chapter of the Baseball Writers Association of America. He recently wrote that people who wonder if the glass is half full or half empty miss the point. The glass is refillable. He's also the one guy in the room who knows that Robin Ventura is the only guy in baseball history to get 6 hits off Nolan Ryan in 1 inning. Ladies, boy, it's a young crowd. It's a young crowd. It's a young crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bryan Hoch.
Thank you very much. With a 60-mile-an-hour fastball and warning track power on my absolute best day, there were no stouts coming to my games. So I realized pretty early on that I needed to choose a different path if I wanted a career in baseball. And I absolutely did. I've loved this sport since I was 8 years old. I was a kid of the 1980s, so I'd ride my bike down to the corner store and buy 35-cent packs of Topps baseball cards, play Nintendo baseball, and read the local newspaper every day, the Rockland Journal-News, Pete remembers, for the Weiss Watch. Walt Weiss was from my hometown of Suffern, New York, and we'd always check the box score to see if Walt got any hits the previous night for the Oakland A's. And that's probably where my interest in journalism started, realizing there are people who are paid to go to the ballpark, write about baseball, and get to talk to the players. I was fortunate to grow up in an era where the internet was just getting started, that dial-up, AOL, Wild Wild West internet, not what we carry in our pockets every second of every day now. I was 14 years old in 1996 when I started what today we'd call a blog, but we didn't even have that term yet. So every day I would come home from school and I'd write about my favorite team at the time, which was the Mets. And I remember being at a family vacation. I would carry this big, heavy desktop computer up 2 flights of stairs just so I could update the final score. And it started with a few dozen people reading it, then hundreds, then thousands, and before you knew it, I was thinking, maybe this is something I can really pursue. And so the great part was that very few of those readers realized that I was just some pimply-faced kid coming back, struggling with my math homework, and trying and failing to get girls to notice me at the time. But it really paid off because I landed an internship with the New York Mets in 2000 and getting a chance to see how baseball really worked behind the scenes at Shea Stadium, in the clubhouse, the front office, the press box. It told me this was a door that I just never would allow to let close. And so for the past 2 decades now, I've had the privilege of telling some wonderful stories in New York baseball, and the people in this room have been a huge part of it. My wife Connie couldn't be here tonight as she's tending to our newborn Josie, but I want to say none of this would be possible without her. We met in the press box at Yankee Stadium back in 2009. She was working in the Yankees PR department, so at least one of us has a World Series ring. She's given me so many great story ideas, inspiration, and support along the way. As you've probably seen, we added some pink to the room here. Our beautiful daughters Penny and Maddie are here. They're 7. Definitely the youngest people here tonight. They're 7 and 5. It's been a delight to get to see them grow up at the ballpark as I cover the Yankees, and so they've tagged along to see already most of the American League. We're already talking about the Angels trip to maybe go see Disneyland, and hopefully we'll add a few more this summer. So I just want to say thank you again to Billy and the New York Pro Scouts Association for this incredible and humbling honor. You all truly are the heartbeat of this game, and we appreciate everything you do.
We've come to the public service portion of our program. I put this card in every seat before you entered this room for fans to be sure. We are a 501c3 charity that promotes prostate cancer awareness and education. at the very least, we want men to go to the doctors to get a simple PSA blood test, which saved my life many years ago. I've been on the air in this town for a long time. Next year, I'm going to celebrate my 50th year around baseball. It started. I started in Elmira, New York on June 21st, 1974, doing the play-by-play of the Boston Red Sox Farm Club, the Elmira Pioneers, and Sioneonte Yankees. I took the job for free. I eventually got $3 a game. Don't laugh. I got $6 for double headers. And the games were at night, so one day on Main Street, I walked down Main Street into McDonald's. Let me tell you something. If you walk into McDonald's with a Bachelor of Arts degree from a leading Jesuit institution like Fordham University, you got a really good shot at getting that job. I did. And they gave me a paper hat that said trainee on the side, and I dressed big bags, very generous in the back. There is nothing I'm going to do on the air that's more important than this. Nothing. I'm the only person in America on my years on WFAN, and now on Sirius XM, I'm the only person in America who stops a show every week to tell men to please go to the doctors. We don't want any empty chairs on Thanksgiving, on Christmas, on Hanukkah, on Kwanzaa. We want you all back here this coming, for the next one, for the 58th. Here's my prop that I keep in my glove, and that I keep the glove in my car in my trunk. We're starting an initiative called Catch for the Cure. Everybody's going to have a catch. You know that 34,000 men are going to die of prostate cancer this year. A man dies of prostate cancer every 17 minutes in this country. Mostly because they've not gone to the doctors, and the incidence of prostate cancer in the African American community is 2 to 3 times higher than it is in the white community. Catch for the Cure. Everybody's gonna have a catch with a loved one, or you can have a catch with me. On Super Bowl Sunday, before they play that game, I will be standing on the mound at Flowers Park in New Rochelle, weather permitting, and I'm gonna have catches with everybody that shows up. And I'm going to have catches in Long Island, and I'm going to have catches in Connecticut, and in Brooklyn, the Bronx, Staten Island, New Jersey. This is what we're going to do. You can come with a loved one and have a catch to help us raise money to expand our efforts for our free screenings and our awareness nights and days that we have all over the country. I'm proud to tell you that thanks to the New York Yankees, who have been fantastic to this charity, for the 10th year in September during Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, we had our free screening, 10th year of the Yankees. And fortunately, now that the Wilpons are gone, thank God, Steve Cohen and his people have allowed us to do the Mets. So a week after the Yankees, during September, during Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, at Yankee Stadium on September 20th, and then the following on the 28th against the Miami Marlins, the charity, I'm proud to tell you, screened 500 men for free. I would like during dinner for you to come up here to see me, give me your contact information so we can send you information about Catch for the Cure. This is going to be huge. We got invited up to the Cedar Rapids Colonels, which is Minnesota's farm club in the Midwest League, last July. We were there with a cancer hospital. We had an information table on a Sunday afternoon. After the game, 520 people went out in the outfield and had a catch for Fans for the Cure. I need your help. I need the coaches that are here to have their teams have catches. We need to raise awareness for prostate cancer. There is a 99% cure rate of prostate cancer detected early, and I'm one of those lucky guys. I got this glove from Ed Lynch. Ed Lynch, he was still pitching, he was pitching for the Mets, and it was something out of, if you remember, the daughters won't remember, the Coke commercial with Mean Joe Green, throws the jersey to the kid, and Ed Lynch threw me this glove, and I still have it, and I love it, and it's terrific. This is going to be the glove I'm going to use on Super Bowl Sunday. I'll be standing on the mountain waiting for you. Please come by during dinner and get involved with us. We really need you, because 34,000 men passing away in 2024 is 34,000 too many. We're going to pause for dinner. Our silent auction is over there. Please patronize it. Please remember, don't talk with your mouth full. Use your napkin properly. And for the love of God, please remember what room you're in should you leave, because if you go into the wrong room, you may accidentally get married. And as an added bonus, my instructional video on how to back up third base will be on sale in the lobby. Thank you so much for your attention.
I appreciate it. I want to, first of all, I would like to, we'd like to start the second half of our program. We are just running a little bit behind, but we'd like to catch up. We have some award winners here. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your patience. I want to thank you for your attentiveness to the speakers that spoke in the first half. I know we just had an outstanding dinner that was a few minutes behind as well, but I do want to thank you for your patience and your respectfulness to our speakers. I just want just two quick things before I hand it back over to Ed and we can get going. Number one, I'd like to say, first of all, that Bryan Hoch, one of our winners here from the Sports Writers, he is the outgoing chairman of the Sports Writers Association. So we want to thank Bryan for the Sports Writers. I also would like the following people, that is, we kind of announced them. I'm not going to announce everybody at all, but I'd like the Sports Writers. If you guys would rise, these are our friends, and we meet them all the time in the ballpark. So the Sports Writers, can you please stand up and give them your due applause? We thank you for all you do. And the next people, if you would please, if you would rise and just get a quick applause. If there are any veterans, you may please rise. Any first responders and any uniform workers, the police, fire, and sanitation workers. All right, you may stand, please. And if you're a veteran, thank you for your service to both the country and the city of New York. I'm going to turn it right now over to our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Ed Rene.
Thank you. Thank you. A round of applause for the people who prepared and served our meals. Our Jim Quigley Award winner is Rene LeRoux. A hand for Rene, please. And to make this presentation, our own Grand High Exalted Mystic Ruler, the Moon Dog, Billy Blitzer.
I had asked Ed if I could make this presentation with him, because Rene has become somebody very special to the Scouts. Not only to the Scouts, to many people in baseball. The unheralded people. Rene is president of the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame. He's the founder and executive director of 3 New York State Hall of Fames: baseball, basketball, and hockey. He founded the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame in 2010. The main purpose is to honor and recognize individuals for their contributions to the game, not just players and managers, everybody that you would know, but writers, announcers, historians, scouts, team organizations, and minor league contributors. Now, to us, scouts, we very rarely get recognized. And this man sitting here, right here, has put in the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame a couple of people that are here this evening, people that would never have been recognized. recently, Joe Rigoli, Sal Justinelli, Don Scala sitting out there, Vic Fella's out here, and myself to be included. And I cannot tell you how much that this has meant to every one of us. That this man has taken people like us that are out of the public eye and inducted us into the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame. He had a dream of building a physical building besides putting this Hall of Fame together that would hold baseball artifacts and plaques. And he built it and opened up this past July in Gloversville, New York. So when you get a chance to go up to Cooperstown, to the National Baseball Hall of Fame, Gloversville is less than an hour's drive. So take a ride up to Gloversville, and you'll see the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame. And I think it means a great deal to every one of us and to every one of you. And Rene, would you please come up here and accept this award?
So the first thing we have to do is recognize David Cohn's 25th anniversary of his perfect game. That doesn't happen, and we were all tuned in, and we were so proud of you, so happy for you. And David, as I told you earlier, all the people that I speak with love you. You have tremendous respect in the game. You're a tremendous announcer, maybe even a better announcer than you were a pitcher. You know? But we hope one day you'll be in our Hall of Fame, and we hope you'll make that last journey to Cooperstown. So thank you for being here. I feel like I'm home. I feel like this is one of my events, because you're all my people that are here, so this is great. I always tell people, don't forget to thank your wife, whatever. So the first thing I have to do is thank Elvira, who's here in the middle. I'm throwing you under the bus. Elvira and I worked on this building for 16 months, literally on our hands and knees with burl pads, scrubbing the floor on stage and never come out. So we're getting a new floor Monday, so that's good news. But what a labor of love this building is, and Gary Perron donated 50 theater seats, stadium seats for the theater, for free. And that's something we couldn't afford to buy it. So, Gary, thank you so much for that. That's a big part of our Hall of Fame. Save some of those cookies for me. So, Elvira, thank you for all your work. And I love baseball, and now she does too. So, we have another convert. When I was a little boy, I grew up in Saratoga Springs, where they are known to have little races in the summertime in August, which is always fun. And when I was 6, my parents took me one day to Cooperstown, and I was in awe. I'm still in awe every time I visit Cooperstown. It's the most magnificent building, Hall of Fame, and I go there for inspiration. I go there in February when they're open and just sit, walk around, and take notes. Everything they do there is phenomenal. And they were very, very nice in giving me their blessing for our building. It's 45 minutes away, and they support what we do, and we're very thankful and gracious for that. I also want to thank Major League Baseball and all the teams, the Yankees, the Mets, and even the Boston Red Sox are big supporters of what we do. And when we call and ask for things, they say, be glad to help in any way we can. So, and that's pretty much true with every Major League Baseball team. It's also true with the Players Association. So it's been really nice to have that kind of support and cooperation in growing what we do. We are 14 years old now, and we opened on July 29th. And Bryan from the MLB Network came and was our MC. And we had, I think, 500 people there. It was great. And plaques on the wall, theater in the back, lockers, display cases. It's small, it's humble, but you have to start somewhere. And we're very thankful. Fulton County, if you can believe this, 16 supervisors gave me this building for free. And who gives buildings away? I mean, so, I don't know. And they said, we'll give you a lot of money to fix the building. I said, okay, you know, I'm in, but don't bother me. Don't ask for carpet samples, don't ask for paint samples. I'll call you and tell you when we're gonna open. Okay. So they laid back, and we opened on July 29th, and everybody was thrilled. We had great coverage nationally, as a matter of fact. So our Hall of Fame is for not just players, coaches, it's for everyone who has a life in the game. It's, we operate on a philosophy called body of work, and it's years of service to the game. We have a lot of people who call me every day and say, put this guy's name down, do a little research. And with that kind of help and support, you know, I know 100 people in this room, you know, who have been very helpful and supportive of this Hall of Fame. Cooperstown is the best. And they run things in a perfect way. What I do is I'm able to pick up an area where they can't do those people that we do because just of the way they function. And I'm glad to do that. I mean, I have people I'm going to talk about in this room. This last year, Joe Grigoli got inducted. His speech was magnificent. We had some scouts in the room that are here. Jimmy Howard's an inductee. Johnny Morris is an inductee. Sal Vestinelli's not here. And Billy Blitzer. So, we're thrilled to have these guys. These guys have years of skin in the game, and they're remarkable guys. This last year was Sal. We had Darryl Strawberry, Chris Chandler. I'm a Yankees guy from the 70s, so I'm a big Vernon Munson fan. So it begins with Munson for me. That was my childhood. And, man, that guy could play. Never one day, not one day on the disabled list. MVP, twice World Series champ, 7 times All-Star, batted .297. This guy was a winner. He was tough as nails. When we inducted him, Diana came from Canton, Ohio, and 100 people came for Thurman. It's great. Goose Gossage flew in from Colorado to induct him. He was great. It was a moment that we can't repeat that. It was great. So it was a good class this year. Curtis Granderson came. Todd Zeal came. Todd's with SNY now. He was fabulous. We had a great class. And this year we have an inductee in the room who's going to go in. Bob Purchase, please stand up. We also have a couple guys you may have heard of, Don Mattingly and Yogi Berra. So Larry will be there, Rick Lindsay, and Don will be there, and we're really thrilled. And David, if your plans change, certainly we'd love to have you. We'll get you some. I'm going to have to explain to Rene Brown that, you're going to have to go talk to her. Nancy Newman's an MC. She's pretty good. So here's my story for tonight. In one of our first classes, I met a guy named Joe Russo, who coached St. John's. Man, I fell in love with this guy like that. We inducted him. He was great. And we forged this friendship, this bond. It was like we grew up together. And Joe would call me in January, February, March, just to talk baseball. Just cutting breeze, just talking baseball. And all of a sudden, the St. John's thing happened. Frank Viola, John Branco, Dom Scala was here. And he also mentioned 2 other guys we talked a lot about. They're here tonight. Lou Santos and Victor Phelps. So now all of a sudden, Joe also put in Matty Galanton, who was a batting coach for Houston, Yankee coach, came up with the Yankees. They played in the Cape Cod League together. Joe left us a few years ago, but that one friendship with Joe led me to so many personal friendships now. And I want to talk about 4 guys that are here tonight. I could talk about them, but I want to single out these 4. Dom Scala, Gary Perrone, Victor Feld, and Lou Santos. These guys are like family to me. Dom Scala came this year to run a youth clinic across the street from our building is Parkhurst Field. And these couple of guys who are a little different, they built a $1.8 million ballpark that used to be Parkhurst Field in 1906, and it's for Little League teams. And it's the nicest Little League field I've ever seen. And they built that in retro to look exactly like it was. So those guys got me the building and said, you gotta come see this, we want you here. And I'm like, okay. So Gloversville, a little out of the way, but if you build it, they will come. These 4 guys are special to me. They're involved on a regular basis. Don, Gary, and Lou, Victor on my board of directors. And if I have any question, if I need anything, these guys know everything. They know where the bodies are buried, let me tell you. And I trust these guys 100%. They've been with me, they've helped me. They talk to me whenever I call. Just wonderful people. It all started from Joe Russo. And to have these kind of people in my life now, and to help me with this building, with this Hall of Fame. They come every year to this event. 400, 500 people. The year we did Thurman and Ron Guidry and Mercer, we had the room packed. Waitresses couldn't get by to serve food. I mean, this is a special event, and we love it. We do timed speakers. As you know, people will admit, 10 minutes, I come get the money. You're done. And people think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. 10 minutes keeps the evening moving. So, and it works, right? You know, hate to do it, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So, I'm happy to be here tonight with a lot of my friends in a wonderful event, an event that I don't have to work, so I can enjoy it. And the Hockey Hall of Fame is great. We love those 1980 Olympic guys, Americanized guys. They come up. Basketball Hall of Fame is great, you know. Doing all 3 is a little quirky, a little time consuming, but it's all fun at the end of the day. It's all been a blessing, and I'm blessed to have these people in my life, and I'm thrilled to know each and every one of you, and thank you for coming. And I stayed under 10 minutes, right? That's great.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor, Matt Hyde. Applaud for Matt Hyde. He is our ABU Turk Karam Memorial Award presentation winner. Through the years, this dinner, we have honored the greats. Tonight, we break with that tradition to honor Matt Hyde. Born to poor Chinese parents, when he was a kid, his parents would always say after a swear word, "Excuse my French." He'll never forget his first day at school when his teacher asked if anyone knew any French. He grew up as a bat boy and bullpen catcher in the Cape Cod League. Matt attended Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts on a basketball scholarship. and later played for the Tigers' great Bill Freehan at the University of Michigan. After college, he spent 9 years as an assistant coach at Boston College, Michigan, and Harvard. In 2005, he was hired by the Yankees at gunpoint as a Northeast area scout and helped scout some Cape Cod players who would later become Yankees, as in David Robertson, Tommy Kahnle, and Aaron Judge. He helped sign Gold Glove winner Anthony Volpe and this year's Star of the Future award winner, who you'll meet shortly, Ben Rice. Since 2006, he has helped organize scout run events in the Northeast to showcase 102 future Major League players and 57 first-round picks. Since 2007, he has led the Northeast Area Code team, and last year captured their first ever Area Code Games Championship. As you can see, Matt has spent his life in baseball, or another way of putting it, he's been called a barnacle on the whole of baseball. He has a 5-star rating from Google and Yelp, and you know what? He has a 5-star rating from us. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Hyde.
Thank you very much, Ed. For a minute there, I thought I was at a roast. Thank you for that kind introduction. Congratulations to all of tonight's award winners, and thank you to everyone for coming out this evening to the 57th annual New York Professional Scouts Association dinner. For those who speak Spanish, buenas noches, amigos. How was that, Kobe? All right? Immortal words of Yogi Berra. I want to thank everybody for making today necessary. When Billy called me to tell me the incredible news that I would be receiving this award, my son Willie said, "Hey, congrats, Dad, way to go." And my daughter Maggie followed up with, "Dad, are you sure they're giving you an award?" A humbling reminder that at home you sometimes find not only your biggest fans, but also your toughest critics, especially 6th graders. None of us could do this job without a supportive family, and I would like to introduce all of you to my very best prospects. My wife, Ann, my daughter, Maggie, and my son, Willie. You've made incredible sacrifices over the years. I just want you to know how grateful I am for all the work it takes to be part of this journey. How thankful I am for your patience at times, especially when the schedule changes due to weather, matchups, or when I have to go see the closer who hasn't thrown in a week and is a must-see. To my wife, Ann, thank you for being there so often when I can't be there. And to Maggie and Willie, the one thing I hope that you learn from what I do, whatever you choose in life as your profession, do what you love. Show up. Do the work. Be a great teammate. Be reliable and available. If you follow that plan, you'll never have to work a day in your life. I am proud of you all. You guys are the best. Thank you very much. The A.B. Turk Karam Award. This is a big deal. How do I know this is a big deal? Two of the first people to congratulate me were Hall of Famer Peter Gammons and this year's Hall of Fame inductee Joe Castiglione. This award matters to people. Like many of you, I've glanced at this program down through the years with the past winners at past dinners. Some of the names I've known, many others I haven't been as familiar with. But as some of you know, I'm a student of history. And baseball is a game of stories. So when Billy told me I'd be getting this award, I went to work. I started to do some research. And this program came to life. Lou Gehrig, in his Luckiest Man speech, said, "Look at these grand men. Which of you wouldn't consider it the highlight of his career just to be associated with them for even one day?" And so it is with these past winners, true legends in the game. A man named Cy Berger, the father of modern baseball cards, one of the founders of this organization, along with Topps, wanted an annual award to be given out in the memory of Turk Karen, a scout for the Yankees, Cubs, and the Brooklyn Dodgers, who also worked for Topps as an agent in the 1950s, signing players to card deals at Ebbets Field, Yankee Stadium in spring training. One of the catalysts who helped Topps baseball cards bring to daily life the stars of the game, impacting generations of young fans in one of the greatest eras in America. Jackie Robinson once said, "A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives." I'm honored to be associated with an award named after someone who was a doer and through his actions brought inspiration to others. Take a look at this list of past winners. These men traveled all over the country searching for the future of the game, scouring the sandlots and the stadiums, sometimes scribbling driving directions to ballparks on diner napkins, finding out game times from word of mouth, driven by a love for the game and a passion for finding great players. Many served in the military, and we have forever thanked them for their service to our great country. Many played in the minor leagues, many coached. Two of these men are enshrined in the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Two of these men are in the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Massachusetts. Honey Russell was the first coach of the Boston Celtics and also signed Hall of Famer Joe Torre along with 23 other big leaguers. Fran O'Rourke is in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. Three past winners are in the Cape Cod Baseball League Hall of Fame. Last winner Johnny Morris, Red Sox scout Buzzy Bowers, who pitched at Michigan State with Hall of Famer Robin Roberts, and one of the scouting institutions in New England, Lenny Marullo, who, Billy, until 2016, was the last living Cub to play in the World Series. In 2006, Alex Pompey was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Pompey organized the first Negro League World Series 100 years ago in 1924, was a Negro League executive, then an eventual scout for the Giants, who helped sign Tony Oliva and Orlando Cepeda. Ralph DiLullo signed Hall of Famer Bruce Sutter as an undrafted free agent, along with Joe Negro. Fats Nicola signed Hall of Famer Carl Yastrzemski before there was a draft. T-Bone Giordano took Hall of Famer Cal Ripken in the second round out of Aberdeen High School, commenting once about the process we do: get in the house, get to know the family. I love that kind of work. Herb Stein signed Hall of Famer Rod Carew off the sandlots in the Bronx, where he had him hidden out. And he was at historic Yale Field in New Haven with Billy Blitzer on May 21st, 1981, arguably the greatest college game ever played, watching Ron Darling throw 11 perfect innings for Yale, but lose the game 1-0 to St. John's in the 12th, whose less heralded pitcher, Frank Sweet Music Viola, had thrown 11 shutout innings and eventually was taken by Herbie and the Twins in the second round of that year's draft. Buddy Kerr managed Felipe Alou and Hall of Famer Juan Marichal in the minor leagues and signed the 1975 Rookie of the Year, John the Count Montefusco. John Stokey, who won the final game of the 1955 College World Series, pitching for Wake Forest, signed Cy Young Award winner Mike Flanagan out of UMass in the 7th round. Pete Gabrian signed Ron Swoboda out of the Johnstown, Pennsylvania tournament and watched him in 1969 rob Brooks Robinson of a hit to help the Mets win the World Series. Hall of Famer Gil Hodges, the first winner of this award, was the manager of that Mets team. Dutch Deutsch signed John Candelaria, the Candyman, and future Yankees captain and Brooklyn native Willie Randolph. Took him in the 7th round out of Samuel J. Tilden High School. Gil Bassetti and Steve Lembo signed 22-year big leaguer John Franco in the 5th round out of St. John's. John Hageman's report on an under-the-radar Tigers prospect during pro coverage helped lead the Braves to making a deal for Hall of Famer John Smoltz, proving sometimes people do read the pro reports. Billy Blitzer signed the first overall pick in the 1982 draft, Sean Dunston, out of Thomas Jefferson High School, and 25-year big leaguer Jamie Moyer in the 6th round out of St. Joseph's. Joe DeLuca signed Manny Ramirez out of George Washington High School. Tommy McNamara spent a lot of time scouting out of New York City, but while in Florida, he signed Prince Fielder, commenting, "It took some guts to take him, but when you like a player like we liked Prince, you aren't thinking of the rest of the baseball world, you're locked in." And he also oversaw Seattle drafts that produced 48 big leaguers in 8 years. Jim Bretz signed an all-star, Brad Brock, out of Monmouth in the 42nd round. And his free agent signed Jason Foley out of Sacred Heart has emerged as one of the most reliable bullpen arms in Detroit's big league bullpen, playing a part in a combined Tigers no-hitter on July 8th this past season against the Blue Jays. 2 stories about the creativity of scouting. President Joe Rigoli signed a catcher out of Iona in the 19th round in 2003. Fast forward to 2011, that catcher, Jason Mott, had been converted to a pitcher, saved 5 games in the postseason for the Cardinals, helping them win a World Series. And the next year, he led the National League in saves. Alan Marr signed a shortstop out of Stony Brook, who he knew could also pitch. That young man made it to the big leagues as a pitcher, 377 saves, 6 All-Star games, and 16 years in the big leagues later, Joe Nathan is in the Twins Hall of Fame, and the field at Stony Brook is named Joe Nathan Field. These stories showcase the importance of true scouting, getting to know players, having a feel for what makes them special, digging beyond the surface, realizing, as Lee Mazzilli once told me, that every player has a heartbeat. Personally, when I look at the names of the more recent winners, these great scouts exemplify being a professional, having passion for the game, working beyond the call of duty, and giving back, growing the game while always chasing excellence. It has been an honor to share a dugout with past winners Alex Agostino, Dennis Sheehan, Jim Bretz, Cesar Presbot, Joe Rigoli, and Ray Fagan, especially Ray, who has been like a brother to me. Who would ever think it? The Yankees and the Red Sox. A bodyguard, occasional lifting partner. That's a story for another day, but the fact that Ray had me spot him while he was bench pressing It's a great testament to friendship and probably dad scouting on Ray's part. But as teammates, we've had a front row seat to the future of the game, putting together the East Coast Pro and the Area Code teams all these years from the Northeast, running the Kelly Rodman Memorial Summer Rivalry Classic, interacting firsthand with a total of 102 future big leaguers and 57 first-round draft picks. Something truly special. Let's give a big round of applause for all of the legendary past winners of the Turk Karam Award. Sitting up on this dais, I kind of feel like I'm at a wedding, and this is way bigger than our wedding. I'm not used to doing these kind of talks. I'm much more comfortable talking to a team on a field, instructing, motivating, directing. I learned from one of the best, though, an old grizzled football coach, the University of Michigan, named Schembeckler. Bo used to talk passionately about how no man is bigger than the team. No coach is bigger than the team. The team, the team, the team. Well, tonight I received this honor as a team award for Department 27, the amateur scouting department of the New York Yankees. Special recognition for our leader, Damon Oppenheimer, who guides our ship. Thanks, Damon, for being here tonight, and thanks also for making the trip to Tim Kelly, Scout Love Camp, Mike Wagner, Mitch Coulahan, A.J. Oppenheimer, and a few other special members of our scouting department who helped me out so much up here, Tim Alexander and Danny Corona and Colin Sabian. We have high standards to do a thorough, full-service job of evaluating, to go the extra mile, to represent the organization with class. Since 2012, the New York Yankees lead all of baseball with 127 players signed by domestic and international departments who have reached the major leagues. 12 pitchers who made their first major league start in 2023 were originally signed by the New York Yankees, most in all of baseball. In fact, 56 pitchers drafted by our amateur scouting department between 2011 and 2020 have made it up to the big leagues. Once again, the most in Major League Baseball. Mike Thurman, our scout in the Pacific Northwest, and Dave Keith, our scout in Southern California, have both won similar awards to what I'm receiving tonight. One of our scouts in Texas, Mike Leisinger, was recently inducted into that region's Scout Hall of Fame. The scouts in our department have signed 10 players who've been in the All-Star game, and the youngest player to ever win a Gold Glove as a shortstop in Major League Baseball history. So we have a lot to be proud of in the work we have done, and this recognition tonight is only made possible by the team, the team, the team. Thank you, Department 27. I found over time that this game is about moments, and it's about people. My parents couldn't be here tonight. My brother Mark is out in California, probably enjoying some weather much better than this. But I'd like to introduce all of you to the best chef, artist, and fly fisherman I know, my brother Peter and his wife Lisa. By the way, I didn't get any of those skills, but I'm working on them. Growing up, I was a bat boy in the summer for the Chatham A's. It was during that time that I truly learned the significance of challenging yourself against the best, watching the stars of tomorrow shine tonight in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Every day, I tried to be the first person to the field, even though I was just the bat boy. I just loved it. But I couldn't beat this one kid from the University of Hartford, who was always at Veterans Field early, working on some part of his game. It was the first time I'd met someone who loved the game and loved being at the ballpark more than I did. 30 years later, I wasn't too surprised when Jeff Bagwell was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. That experience eventually led me to Andover for high school, and thanks to the pitching coach on that Chatham A's team, the University of Michigan. For close to 40 years, this guy has been my greatest mentor in the game of baseball. A man who has taught me not to be a front runner, never give up, and vocabulary. How to use certain four-letter words as nouns, verbs, and adjectives, sometimes all in the same sentence. Member of the Cape Cod Baseball League Hall of Fame. As a Wolverine, he once struck out Minnesota Golden Gopher Dave Winfield 4 times in a game. As a coach, he recruited a kid from Kalamazoo named Derek Jeter to sign a letter of intent to Michigan. Please welcome Ace Adams and his wife, Wendy. During the summer of 1998, I was coaching the Brewster Whitecaps in the Cape Cod League when I got a phone call from an old friend recommending a young, projectable left-handed pitcher who could spin a curveball, who he felt would be a good fit at Michigan. I followed up on that phone call. I called every scout, opposing coach, contact that I knew to give me information on the kid. And I even had the young man send me a videotape of him pitching. Everything kept coming up, thumbs up. We recruited him, he became a Wolverine, and 25 years later, I'd like to introduce one of my best friends in the world, a veteran of 19 seasons in the major leagues, playing for 13 teams and pitching in 2 World Series. One of the greatest examples of persistence, never giving up, overcoming adversity that I've ever seen. Please welcome the oldest player in the major leagues, Rich Hill. There have been many people along the way who are not here tonight because they are watching from above. Incredible human beings, true greats, who, to quote the Stephen Spender poem, born of the sun, they traveled a short while to the sun and left the vivid air signed with their honor. I remember them often, and I'm forever grateful for their influence on me. One angel looking down, who I'd like to recognize here tonight, was a huge part of Department 27. Kelly Rodman exemplified what it means to be a Yankee. She never considered herself a trailblazer female scout. She wanted to be considered amongst her peers and her competitors as being a scout, and she was a great one. I believe someday she would have won this award. Her motto, "Be great today," lives on in all of us. Carrying her memory forward, I'd like to introduce the head of the Kelly Rodman Foundation, Jen Mead, and her dad. Coney, you know that Yogi had one of the best lines of all time. It ain't over till it's over. Well, this speech is almost over. Maggie and Willie, the finish line is in sight. But before I go, I wanted to talk a little bit about why I love this game and why I love this job. It truly is all about the players, but it's also about being at the ballpark, talking baseball, learning something new, seeing something different. This game has a funny way of punching you right in the face the minute you think you know it all. The lessons never stop. The stories never get old. There are certainly a lot of things to complain about with some of the changes in our game over time. And people love to complain about it. But there is so much to love about baseball. Things that lift the spirit and bring hope and optimism to every day around the game. It's all about perspective, and it's all about attitude. It's all about kicking snow off your boots and walking into an old building that looks like an abandoned airplane hangar on a dreary day in 2021, long before the ice melts off the diamonds, to watch an all-American looking left-handed hitter crush line drives into cage netting, stirring the imagination as to what he could eventually look like at Yankee Stadium. Then watching him organize practices at the New England Baseball Complex in Northborough because the season was canceled by the Ivy League. Never making excuses or feeling sorry for himself, continuing to do the work, investing in himself, taking initiative, making things happen. Playing as an amateur on a forgotten field in a men's league against older players who would drink beers in the parking lot after games. Then, seeing him as a professional, as one of our own Yankee prospects, dominate the Eastern League this past summer. Ben Rice, scouting you was some of the most fun I've ever had scouting. And it's going to be fun watching you continue your journey as you make it up to the big leagues. It's all about being down in Jupiter, Florida in October of 2018, sending group texts to our Yankees crew every time a New Jersey high school shortstop was on deck for the Evo Shield Kings. Watching him evolve as a player, always doing 3 things to help his team win. Spending 24 games with him in the same dugout as a high school prospect with all the things we do. Truly appreciating what he brings to the table. And then seeing him run out there on opening day at Yankee Stadium. Answer his first roll call. Before the game, him telling me that he knew Kelly Rodman was his angel in the outfield, smiling down. What a special player, what a special person, and what a blessing to have watched the story of Anthony Volpe unfold from a young age to the present. It's all about watching those with a relentless desire to compete hard and play. The championship makeup of a player we selected later in the draft, but has climbed the ladder of our organization, along the way becoming a great friend and a refreshing example that there are still baseball players out there who love the game and will never give up. But I'd already seen them at Northeastern University on cold, snowy days, the miserable afternoons of early spring, the warmth of Brookline in late May. Always the same guy, always the same player, always a winner. Max Burt and Red Sox Rule 5 draft pickup Mickey Gasper, who we selected the same year, 2018, 27th and 28th rounders, are the type of players who make me proud because I know they get the most out of their ability and are examples of what it means to be a winner. We love winners, and these 2 guys have it. It's all about July of 2009, being in the cages by the Yankee clubhouse, hitting with a high school catcher from Las Vegas, the day before we held a workout there, going out to dinner with the player and his dad afterwards at Foley's. We all miss Foley's, don't we? Absolutely. Watching the young man talk to Sean Clancy about the game in New York. Then seeing him on the field the next day, a 10th grader, launching balls into the right field stands in BP, stretching a double into a triple in our scrimmage game. Getting a look at such incredible talent at such a young age. Then looking back on it and realizing that we were able to watch this young man, Bryce Harper, and another one, Mike Trout, compete against each other the summer before at the area code games. 2 future Hall of Famers. Wow, that's something truly special. Not too many professions offer that wonderful combination of seeing the future in the present. It's all about going into a home and leaving that visit saying, this kid has it. I want to add this player to our organization. Leaving the field jacked about how a player has played, excited about seeing glimpses of greatness, like finding flecks of gold in a mountain stream. Those car rides home never seem so long. Billy Blitzer may have put it best. Seeing a player you signed do well makes you so proud, almost as if it were your own child out there on the field. The thrill of the game, that tingle of excitement and anticipation, is what makes sports great, and especially makes this sport unique. The stories connecting the generations and making the awe of today's Shohei Ohtani or Aaron Judge or Juan Soto conjure up memories of Babe Ruth, Willie Mays, Mickey Mantle, and the rest of the greats of the game. It's almost that time again to renew the chase, to get in the car and find the future of the game, to see someone stand out that reminds you of a name from the past, to watch success and failure, winning and losing, to fret and worry about if the player you really want is going to get to your team's pick, and even more anxiety as to if your team takes that magnet off the board. And if so, what joy, what excitement, exhilaration for a moment. Then the real work begins for the prospect as he begins on the daunting, unforgiving path to the major leagues. The poet Thomas Gray wrote, "Full many a flower is born to blush unseen and wasted sweetness on the desert air." We all know how hard this game truly is. How hard it is for players to make it to the big leagues. And then even harder to stay up there. And we all know how hard is this profession of scouting. Trying to hold a crystal ball in our hands at times and predict the future. Betting on talent and hoping that the makeup, resilience, intangibles match the potential for excellence. But at our core, we are all optimists. We are believers. We see the good of what the player can do. The hard part of figuring it out is a big part of why we love it. There was a football coach who was an assistant under Bo at Michigan, who came up with a wonderful message for his 2 boys growing up, that he would break out during good times and bad, after big wins and tough losses. A mindset that I think fits those of us who scout, who drive the countless miles, who adjust plans and chase talent, crisscrossing states, towns, regions, because we love it. Jack Harbaugh would say to his sons, Jim and John. Who's got it better than us? The answer, nobody. Thank you very much.
Our Steve Lembo Award winner is Matt Roventini at College Prep High School. Matt has been the head coach of Poly Prep since 2004 and has compiled a record of 314 wins and just 66 losses. And with it 14 consecutive Ivy Prep League titles and 11 state titles in 15 years. More than 50 of whose players have gone on to play college ball, and 7 have been drafted since 2010. And since 2012, Poly Prep has been ranked among the top 100 high schools 6 times. Matt comes to us tonight with a warning. Never sing in the shower. Singing leads to dancing. Dancing leads to slipping, and slipping leads to paramedics seeing naked. In 2009, Matt was named New York State Sports Writer by New York State Sports Writers as the High School Coach of the Year, and was honored in 2007 as the Division II Coach of the Year by the American Baseball Coaches Association. All well and good, but those awards pale in comparison as he receives tonight our Steve Lembo Award. Please welcome Matt Roventini.
Thank you, good evening. First thing I have to say is whoever put this program together, who decided to put the high school coach from Brooklyn behind the guy who went to Andover, who's the lead coach for the Yankees, was a terrible idea. Like, 'cause you should all be gone at this point. Like, why are we here to listen to me? So, it's an absolute honor. And I really appreciate this award, and I'm very humble, to be honest with you. A few short stories. Firstly, I'd like to thank my wife. First, as any high school coach should do, we give our time to our teens and our families, and sometimes our wives and families don't get the same amount of time. So, Kath, I love it. I love you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for It's such a large room with so many baseball guys. What we always know is baseball is a small world. Matt had pointed out before, Steve Lembo, the award that I'm receiving today, the Steve Lembo Award, was a person who identified and took Johnny Franco. Johnny Franco's son, JJ, had played for me at Poly Prep and was drafted twice. So it's amazing the full circle of baseball, but it always comes full circle and comes around. The other story I'd like to mention is this, is that I would like a little bit of credit for Anthony Volpe. Because as Danny Corona would point out, the day that Anthony Volpe was a freshman standing on the field with Doug Martin, we went over there, we had a kid on the mound, a big donkey going to LSU, who was pretty good. And everyone said, this kid's pretty good, but guess what? He wasn't nearly as good as that other guy, Anthony Volpe. But I'll say this, if we didn't show up with that guy that day, I don't know, maybe Anthony Volpe's not there. So I just want like this much credit somewhere along the way. Just a little, just in case someone ever has to bring it up. So, no, but again, congratulations to Matt. It's an enormous achievement. And again, I'm flattered and I'm honored to be following Matt and to be at this dinner tonight. I've been very lucky to be coaching Poly Prep for 20 years. There's a lot of people. I always say it takes a village, right? It takes a village, and that part of that village is the assistant coaches. Any good coach will tell you this, you're only as good as your assistants. And a lot of my assistants I've had through 20 years, I wouldn't be standing here today if those guys haven't done all the hard work. I get to stand here and win this award and that award, whatever it may be, but none of that happens without all of my assistant coaches. So that's first and foremost. The other thing is the families that I've been lucky enough to be around for my 20 years. Wonderful people. And sometimes as a high school coach, people worry about letting families in. I feel a little bit differently. I feel as if the families are your lifeblood. They give you their kid and it's your job to help them grow. And hopefully you turn into fine young men, first off, before baseball, and then secondly, you hope that they become really good baseball players. And I've always said my job is to make great baseball players. I hope I can create an environment and a culture in which they can be the best version of themselves. That's what I hope to do. And so again, I won't speak very long, but I'll say this, the most important thing, I'll speak about my 20 years with the kids. So I got there in 2004 as a team that had won 3 games. 20 years later, again, as Ed had pointed out, we've had some really great accomplishments with a lot of victories and a lot of championships along the way, and a lot of kids drafted and playing in college. That's great. But I'll say this, none of that happens without the kids. None of us are here without the kids. We're lucky enough that we're part of the kids' game. And I say it every day, I wake up in the morning, and I'm fortunate enough that I get to wake up and go to work, and I get to spend my day helping mold those kids and part of their lives. And I'm lucky, I hope I'm part of their lives as they continue to move forward, but I'm lucky to be part of their life. My favorite part of my days are either when they're sitting in my office, just being kids, when I get to 2 or 3 hours a day that I get to stand on the field with those kids. That's the best part of what I get to do as a high school baseball coach. You guys have to identify them and turn them into great baseball players. I just hopefully, I try to nudge them in the right direction and be a little bit of a small part of their success as they move forward. And so again, I'm lucky, and I would say this, if it wasn't for the kids, none of us would be sitting here. So my favorite part of what I do is I get to watch them grow up. And the kids that I coached back in 2004, up until today, I now have gone to their weddings and I watch their kids now start to grow up. And there's something special about that 20 years later you still have that bond. And again, back to 20 years and now the kids, a lot of them over here today, which again says the world to me that the players that I coach are willing to come out tonight and be here, although they missed practice, but I won't say anything about that. But that they're willing to be here to support me says so much about those kids and the character of those young men. And I hope that I'm a small part of their development and their growth as they get older. So I want to say thank you again for this award. I want to thank everyone that's here. And again, I want to thank the kids first and foremost, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be this way.
Okay. We have our raffle, our first prize. Right? We're going to raffle off the TV. All right, they're going to get the TV out. I'm going to read the number for all you Super Bowl fans. It's a white ticket, 360148. 360148. 360148. Put that aside. Second, for the second prize, it's a Bluetooth speaker. It's a blue ticket. 564-2628. 564-2628. Blue ticket. 564-2628. 2628. Winner, chicken dinner.
Blue one? Blue. How we doing? You trust me? I know you. Thank you.
360148. All right, good. Third prize. Oh yeah, third prize is a New York Pro Scouts gift bag. It's got a hat, bag. This should be the first prize, but all right, this is another white ticket. 360283. 360283. All right, Christine. All right. Terrific. Okay, I'm going to read off the winners for the silent auction. The East meets West autographed rookie baseball card. The winner is Willie Hyde. At the end of the night, you'll pick up your prize. You'll see John Saprini, and you'll pick it up. For the Big Red autographed Ken Griffey, the winner is Sal Rail. For the Branch Rickey Baseball's Ferocious Gentleman, and the winner is Mr. Richard Hill. Rich, you got that one. You hear me on the book. All right, at the end of the night. All right, Baseball's Endangered Species, an autographed Lee Lowenfish copy, which really enhanced the value. And that's by Michael, I'm going to say Wayner or Wagner. And Steve Garvey autographed baseball. Very nice. Turned politician. Robert Brandt. An autographed baseball at Dario Alfonso. The winner, Robert Brandt. Very good. And an orange t-shirt autographed by John Franco. Kevin Mockley, or Mockler, sorry. Autographed baseball, Hideki Matsui. Very nice. Anthony Alessio. Autographed baseball, Robinson Cano. And the winner is Dan Desmond. And the autographed baseball from Shane Spencer, Steve Patty. The End of an Era, Mo Resnick, Eddie Randall, Perry Barber. And the winner, Damon Oppenheimer. Damon, congratulations. Some of my best friends are crazy. Autographed by Jay Johnstone. Winner, Anthony McCarron. And the Baseball Whisperer. And the winner is Jim Tuthill. So you can claim your prizes at the end of the night, or I should say in the morning. All right? I'm going to turn it back over to Ed.
Our Star of the Future award winner this year is the aforementioned Ben Rice. Thank you. Our Star of the Future award winner was selected by the Yankees in the 12th round of the 2021 draft out of Dartmouth. He had a huge 2023 season in the Yankee system. He began at low A Tampa, hitting .286, moved up to high A Hudson Valley, hitting .341, and then up to double A Somerset, where he hit .327 with 16 homers and 48 RBIs. Overall, he batted .324 with 20 homers and 68 RBIs in 73 games. He was named a New York Yankees organization All-Star and MLB Pipeline named him the Yankees hitting prospect of the year. There's no reason to think that that progress will not continue. Please give a warm welcome to our star of the future, Ben Rice. Going to ask some questions. You also played hockey in high school, right? Besides baseball.
Yes.
How good were you in hockey?
Kind of like a utility guy, I guess. I don't know. Moved around a little bit, played a little bit of D, a little bit of forward, but loved hockey. So.
There's a point in time where the Ben Rices of the world get separated from the Atlantos of the world. And wasn't
Very early, very early.
I would appreciate some respect for the scholarship here, okay? If you would, tell us at what point in time you started to change and you started to have dreams.
I would say, probably like early college, I'd say, started to really think that pro baseball was actually an option. I always dreamed of trying to get to the big leagues and stuff, but I didn't think it actually really felt real until I started seeing some success at the college level and some summer leagues and stuff. So that's when it started to kind of feel a little more.
The King Quigley really was one of the launching kids.
No, I actually wouldn't think so, honestly. Probably a little before that. The Cape League I really only played for a few weeks in. Even talking to Matt and Damon, they said that wasn't really too pivotal for me, I think. It was really in the season prior to that, in the summer in the Futures League New England, that I was able to really get myself noticed because it was during COVID. It was one of the only summer leagues going on that year. So being able to perform well there was huge, and not having any spring seasons to fall back on from Dartmouth either, that was really important for me.
What did you study at Dartmouth?
I was a psychology major.
Favorite team growing up?
Well, I did like the Yankees when I was little because I loved Derek Jeter. Still got a bunch of Yankee stuff in my room. I kind of grew out of that a little bit because it's weird to root for your hometown's arch rival. But always had a soft spot for the Yankees.
Did you take a lot of heat about being a Yankee fan, being behind enemy lines?
No, not too much actually. It was when I was pretty young, so didn't get too much.
Collect baseball cards as a kid?
No, I didn't. Not really. I had one of my neighbors who would give out baseball cards instead of candy on Halloween. That was always kind of fun.
I've talked to so many players through the years who 95% of them, Ben said they never expected to be drafted by the team that drafted them. Tell us about your story in the Yankees.
I can't say that's true for me. I definitely expected to get drafted by the Yankees, or maybe even the Red Sox from Ray. The two scouts I talked to the most were Matt and Ray, especially after that 2020 summer season. It always seemed like Matt was right around the corner. He came and watched me take batting practice in a run-down batting cage in the middle of a snowstorm in Massachusetts. So I think that day when I saw Matt was coming, just watched me take BP with my dad, I was like, okay, I think the Yankees are actually, considering picking me. So.
What was draft day like?
It was kind of a whirlwind. I thought I was going to go on the day before, and then once day 3 rolled around, me and my dad were both nervous wrecks in a library in Cuthbert, Massachusetts, because we didn't know where to kill time after I just got my early work done, and with the legendary Mike Roberts himself for the Cuthbert Cavaliers. And we were just waiting around, basically just staring at a laptop because the picks just fly by that day, and finally was able to see my name pop up on the screen. So,
what did you think?
I was excited. Every time the Yankees logo came up, we both kind of leaned forward and were waiting to see what would happen. It was amazing. It was just a culmination of everything preceding that. College ball, the summer leagues, everything. So, got a call from Matt right afterwards, and I was on a flight to Tampa the next morning.
Talk about your 2023 season and your progression through the Yankee system.
It started a little slow in 2021, getting right into pro ball. It was a bit of an adjustment for me. Hadn't seen that kind of pitching yet in my career. Still think I'm pretty inexperienced overall, honestly, in terms of at-bats. Yeah, I mean, fortunately this year, I guess it just clicked for me a little bit. I was able to work my way into getting some more opportunities, be a little bit more of an everyday player behind the plate, and played a little first base, a little DH. And I think just getting more at bats was really important for me, just some more pitching, and thankfully that all took care of itself.
Where's your future on the field with it?
I would hope it's at catcher, but I mean that's not up to me. So.
The farther up the line you went, the better the batting average. You had a point of 5 homers in just 12 games in Double-A. It just got better and better as you moved up the line.
Yeah, I mean I don't really know what to attribute that to. It was, I was fortunate enough to start off pretty hot when I got up to Double-A, and just kind of ran with it.
And the expectation this year is probably to start at Double-A?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean that's not in my hands. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully you can perform well this spring, and just to see what happens. You never know what's going to happen. So.
You're a left-handed hitter who puts the ball in the air. Yankee fans are going to be out of their minds if you're a left-handed hitter who puts the ball in the air, given the configuration of Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, I mean everyone likes to talk about that short porch. I don't think that's anything that ever really creeps into my mind. It's something I just hope comes naturally, but it's definitely something to get excited about.
2023 was a terrific year for you, and everybody in the room wishes you all the best for 2024 for many years to come.
Yeah, thank you.
Our final award for the evening is the DiLullo Award to Charlie Hickey of Central Connecticut State University. Applause, please, for Charlie. Charlie began his college career as the pitching coach at Providence College in 1992 before becoming head coach in 1996. After winning Big East Coach of the Year honors in 1999, he said, "Screw 'em, good riddance, I'm out of here," and moved on to Central Connecticut State as head coach. He has become the winningest coach in school history, has won 4 regular season titles, 9 Northeast Conference tournament titles, and named Coach of the Year 5 times. 24 years at it, his teams have won 646 games. And he has another streak. He has been audited by the IRS for the last 23 consecutive years. This award will cheer him up because he was at the track recently and his horse went off at 20-1 and came back at 7:15. Ladies and gentlemen, our Rough DiLullo Award winner is Charlie Hickey.
I've timed every other speaker tonight, so I'm going to time myself. I do have to give some scouts some credence tonight, because if they actually knew me and knew my style, I would have been out of here about an hour and a half. If I followed the big leaguer, I would have been gone. I'd be halfway home. Obviously, I wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Obviously it's cold, it's dark, it's everything that is part of the Northeast this time of year. But when we can get baseball people together, it makes it for a special night. There are a couple gentlemen that have left already, but it was great seeing them. When I started off this game 30 years ago coaching, I thought I understood the game, but watching you scouts approach it and evaluate and listening to you in the old days when we were at games and watched tournaments, I appreciate what I learned and took from them. Matt said something great earlier about the special time that we get to be on the field. I get to have practice at 9 a.m. in a gym tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. I'm going to have to thank my wife, who's not going to talk to me for the next 3 hours as we navigate the Merritt Parkway, because I told her we were going to be on the road at 9:15.
That's a good one.
One thing I would like to reach out to the Yankee staff, and not to spin it, but Matt knows, Kelly and I were very close. She started as a softball coach at Central Connecticut. She talked to me a lot about getting into the pro game, getting into the scouting games, and would always enjoy the banter at events and coaching. And I know your organization treated her and Jen with the utmost class at the end. And from somebody on the outside, I tremendously respect that and thank you for her trying times at the end. But again, gentlemen, thank you. Enjoy the evening. Good night.
I know.
You can follow the Scouts on Instagram at NYP Scouts, and you can tag us in your pictures from this evening. As the Jesuits taught me at Fordham, that's the whole mishpucha. I think we sprinkled enough pixie dust for one evening. This thing came and went in just, what, 6 hours? Scoreboard totals are correct. There are 25 days to pitchers and catchers. But before you go, we are obligated to read this disclaimer to make this evening completely legal. This dinner is brought to you on the rights granted by the New York Professional Baseball League, solely for the entertainment of our audience, and the publication, reproduction, or retransmission of this event without the express consent of the New York Pro Baseball League is strictly prohibited. Let's hear it one more round of applause for all our Honorees. Thank you so much for coming